Hi, I'm Deanna. I write dark paranormal fantasy and paranormal romance, often meshed together in the same book or in the same series. This is a video for those of you who have read the main arc, that's the first 6 books of the Eye of the Storm series, and you'd like to continue, but you'd like clarification on which books to read in what order. This was the last book of the Eye of the Storm series, book number 6. This book completed that main arc. But I have written a lot of other books which are offshoot books about what happened next to certain characters, and these offshoot books are leading the way to a new series to come which takes place around 20 years after Reign of the Wolf. We have a whole new cast of characters in that series, but we will also have the characters of Eye of the Storm. So after Reign of the Wolf, I wrote 2 books called Blood Shadow and Aftershock. These 2 books go together in many ways, so I have compiled them as a duet called Blood Never Lies. Blood Shadow tells the story of Selena. Selena we meet in the first 6 books, and she goes off in her own direction at the end of Reign of the Wolf, and this book explains what happens to her in the 5 years after the end of Reign of the Wolf. In the same 5 years that this book takes place, the happenings of Aftershock are also taking place. The events of both of these books take place around a blood moon eclipse, and it's this blood moon eclipse that sort of connects these 2 books, and we have a definite crossover between these books in the very last chapter or so. This second book, Aftershock, this tells the story of Pete and Beth and baby Jasmine. They also went off in their own direction after the end of Reign of the Wolf, and this book follows them and everything that happened to them. Jasmine is going to be quite a prominent character in the new series to come. I also wrote a compilation of novelettes, and this book, After the Storm, has got all 4 of the novelettes in there. The 4 novelettes can also be bought as separate ebooks. These novelettes concentrate on the 4 main characters of the Eye of the Storm series. So Lydia, Ryan, Taylor and Lawrence. It tells their stories in separate novelettes, how they felt emotionally, the healing that needed to take place after the end of Reign of the Wolf, and again, the end of this compilation. So in the last novelette, we are finding ourselves at the end of that same 5-year period that takes place in Blood Shadow and Aftershock, and the very end of this book also crosses with the end of these books, okay, especially the end of Aftershock. So we do have a slight connection there with all of the books together, and you get to see how all the stories merge and how the stories feed off each other and kind of take off to create this new series to come. Blood Shadow does not complete at the end of this book. There is an opening for Selena to continue her story, and it does. It actually continues on in a book I've very recently written called Fathoms Deep. Fathoms Deep continues to tell the story of the characters that you meet in Blood Shadow, and this book concludes her story for now. It concludes her story until a point in the future where we may meet her again 20 years after Reign of the Wolf. Even though Fathoms Deep is quite a separate entity to the Eye of the Storm series, I would say that by the end of this book, you have even more information about certain things taking place that all lead on to this new series to come. So again, there are little connections and crossovers at the end of this book that connect to the series to come. The one other book that I haven't mentioned because I haven't written it yet, it's hopefully due out at the end of August this year, that's 2026. That book is called 13 Days, and we go back in time in that book. It tells the story of Hendrickson and Amelia, which we meet in the main arc of the Eye of the Storm series, those first 6 books. We don't know them that well in that series. We know of them, we get to meet them a little bit, but we really don't get the crux of their backstory. And I'm going to give that to you in 13 days. In 13 days, you're also going to meet very briefly a pivotal character who will be in the new series to come, and indirectly a lot of what Amelia and Hendrickson go through and their situation in general, which is really quite tragic and upsetting, does influence certain people's thoughts and actions in the new series to come. So even though it kind of stands as a separate entity, the book 13 Days, it's still going to have those layers that add more depth to the new series to come. So there we go. The order to read those books that I've just talked about are pretty much the order that I've shown them to you in the video. I think the best order is probably Blood Shadow, followed by Aftershock, followed by the After the Storm novelettes, and then followed by Fathoms Deep, and then the last book, 13 Days. All of these books are optional. You can end with Reign of the Wolf at the end of the Eye of the Storm series. You don't have to carry on. But if you enjoy the characters and you enjoy the writing of this series and you'd like to start the new series when it comes out, all of these books will give you a flavour of what to expect going into the new series.